The dangers that threaten societies most are those that set in quietly and tend also to have long incubation periods. The environment is one such danger.
If you destroy it, it comes back with a vengeance.
It sets in and consumes quietly, and eventually you find that you have a completely unsustainable situation.
When you see those animals dying, you better realize that you are next.
%71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. Only 1% of this is fresh water. And it is this 1% that holds the key to the survival of many forms of life on Earth. Human beings depend on this water for replenishing body fluids, food production, energy production, and domestic use. Without water, life as we know it ceases to exist. But much of this needed resource is becoming less and less with each passing year. In Kenya, the situation is getting to a critical state.
Water is life. Without water, there can never be life. So when people are affected and they are competing, there is a possibility of people rioting, people fighting over water, and even nations can go to war because of water.
And yet, the secret to retaining and conserving this vital resource and avoid possible conflicts lies not in modern technologies, but to a natural resource that we overlook, the forests. Forests play a very important role. They trap and store rainwater, they help replenish groundwater tables, and more importantly, they regulate the local climate conditions. Forests contribute to the availability of water to humanity. They play a critical role as water catchment areas. Mount Kenya, Aberdares, Cherangani Hills, Mount Elgon, and Mau Complex are the 5 major water towers or catchment areas in Kenya. Shulu Hills and Shimba Hills are equally vital water towers. These forests hold a crucial link to our environment. But decades of wanton destruction has reduced the forest cover to a crisis level.
At independence, estimates say we had up to 12% of forest cover in this country of the closed canopy forest. Now we are talking about 1.7% of the closed canopy forest. Now that scorecard shows that we have really lost almost 80 or 90% of our forest cover in under 45 years.
Years of unmonitored activities in the forest has had a huge impact. Trees have been cut down to cater for various societal needs with little regards to the environmental implications. The huge demand for timber in the construction industry has encouraged illegal logging, which still continues with no stop in sight. Charcoal burning in the forest has been on the increase. The need for cheaper source of energy has fueled the demand and created an industry with devastating effects. The appetite for more land for cultivation inevitably led to burning and cutting down of huge forest areas. The implications of these destructions are quite severe, and the dangers posed, although not clear to many Kenyans, can be tragic.
I think the first thing for Kenyans is to accept that we are threatened by environmental degradation, and that this danger is widespread throughout the country. And that essentially what it speaks to us is that we have been irresponsible in the manner in which we relate with nature.
With rivers and lakes drying, there has been acute shortage of water for consumption, food, and energy production. The consequences of this: hunger and starvation in many parts of the country. Energy production has been badly affected, and many are now jobless due to cuts in production caused by power outages. Conflicts between communities in many areas due to competition for the little available resources has intensified. These are just but a few signs that Mother Nature is paying us back for our actions and inactions. And coupled with the other societal problems, this crisis has the potential to tip the country over and eventually engulf the whole region.
We need to ensure that we preserve the environment, prevent conflicts that would definitely arise if we do not preserve the environment. Conflicts internally or externally.
But for some, this crisis is like a God-sent early warning for action to be taken.
Sometimes you have to be hit very hard by a crisis to wake up. And maybe the gods are giving us this crisis in order for us to wake up.
Around the country, many people have woken up to the realization that the country's future is at stake. Many have initiated ways to raise awareness and support. From individuals to institutions, there has been a great sense of concern.
We are concerned, and we feel it is our duty to catalyze, to do what it takes to catalyze and to rally people to this danger, which is quietly creeping, and which, if we don't deal with, will become impossible to defeat in the future.
The Kenya Armed Forces have been among the groups of people in the front line of the conservation war. Having identified the threat, they have marshaled their troops and are already advancing with relative success.
We saw that the country is threatened for mother quarters as well. And we saw the environmental challenges that Kenya faces as being a major challenge for the country, and one which needs to be confronted effectively, for which there needs to be mobilization of people to confront this challenge. That is how we came to see the environment as something that needs our attention. And in the year 2003, we started a program which we then called the Environmental Soldier Program.
We decided to really institutionalize the culture of tree planting, not in the context of one tree as a VIP, but massively within our barracks, within the adjoining areas, in the barrack areas, and also make deliberate attempts to educate our men and women on the need to cascade the same concept in the rural areas where they come from, and make it a culture of doing that in order to join hands with the other Kenyans in the same effort.
In the beginning phases, the focus was to create awareness among the troops on the need for environment protection and conservation.
Miti ni very important, ni muhimu sana. The more tutapanda miti nyingi, utakuta area hii mvua inanyesha kila mahali, pia katika nchi yetu.
The new training package culminated in planting of trees in all the barracks, with emphasis on a cleaner and friendlier environment.
This is an issue that I believe a lot of us had been taking for granted until we have been sensitized over time. We have participated in planting trees and taking care of them. Personally, I have done that. And over time, we are coming to understand what it really means to conserve our environment.
To sustain this momentum, the program focused on training and developing the soldier to be able to prepare seedbeds, transplant, and nurture seedlings to maturity. This would ensure constant supply of seedlings all year round. Tree nurseries were established in every barrack in the country, with personnel working round the clock to ensure a consistent supply chain. With soldiers becoming more knowledgeable and confident, and also superseding the set targets within a short period, it was time to shift gear to the next level.
After he has grown to like the idea of growing trees in barracks, he could then also transfer that, what he has learned, to his homestead.
Every soldier was given about 100 seedlings to carry away with him when going on leave, so that he can plant at his place. And for me, I took over 100 seedlings which I have planted in my place, and I have so far added more and more. I have planted over 500 seedlings, which so far have grown into very tall trees.
Hii miti wakati unapanda, inafaa unatoa hii karatasi, ndio ikiingia kwa mchanga mizizi inaweza kuenea.
I have introduced the same to my neighbors who have generated the interest of planting trees, and it has actually further gone deeper to our schools around my area, to the entire community, areas like churches, and the youth around also. They have gained the interest, and in fact they have even come up with a program of planting their own seedlings.
Hiyo elimu ya miti, umuhimu wa miti tumeeneza kwa vyama vya wakina mama, na tena tumependekeza kwa wanafunzi huko shuleni. Tumepanda miti mingi sana, na tunawahimiza vijana wadogo waanze nasali za kupanda miti, na tena tunawanunulia, tunakuja kupanda hapa.
Nilikuja kujua umuhimu wa miti kutokana na Senior Sergeant Kimani, na kutoka wakati huo nimeanza kupanda miti, na nimepanda miti kwa wingi sana. Hata kwa shamba langu niko na miti zaidi ya 300.
We made a lot of effort in training the soldier so that they become ambassadors, not only in the barracks but even out. And even when they go for United Nations missions outside this country, they also pass the same message. They also go with the same message, and we have always received very good results from whenever they have been deployed out of this country.
We needed to do more than just to bring more people in than just ourselves. So we developed this idea, working with other partners, the Green Belt Movement, the Ministry of Environment, and others who were interested in working with us. We developed the idea of outreach, going out to plant seedlings in forests throughout Kenya.
Tumejaribu kuona namna tunaweza uhusiana na wananchi, na njia moja kuhusiana na wananchi ni kujaribu kujumuika nao kufanya yale ambayo ni manufaa kwa wananchi, mambo ya upanzi wa miti.
The outreach program was well received by the locals, especially in the areas where a lot of destruction had taken place.
Najua samani zile wananchi ndio walipanda miti, na sasa wale waharibifu wanaona hii miti ni kama haijasimamiwa, lakini sasa vile wanaona wanajeshi wakishughulikia ile shughuli wanaogopa.
Tulikuwa tunajua wanajeshi kazi yao tu ni kulinda mpaka, lakini sasa tumeona wameinuka, wameungana nasi raia ili tuweze kulinda misitu yetu. Kwa hivyo tumeshukuru sana.
Within a period of 3 years, 5 million trees have been planted nationwide. from the barracks to the forests and the training fields, the transformation is evident.
To change the environment in Kenya, we need to focus at mobilizing many people and many institutions, not just ourselves. So we moved out to talk to our colleagues in other securities, in the security sector. We have brought on board the administration police. We have brought on board the regular police. And we are working to work with colleges and schools so that we can rally the total community together to work on this.
All you professionals, when you see the soldiers walking around with their tree seedlings, ask yourself, what can I do? So that it becomes everybody's business. The environment is not a concern for the government. As we have seen, it is not the government that is starving to death. The environment is a concern for every citizen.
To bring Kenya back to what it was, we will require to plant about 6.4 billion trees. Now, taking this figure and pegging it against the population of Kenya, it would mean that every Kenyan is required to plant about 2,000 trees.
The time factor is crucial because this is a time-bound threat. So the earlier you start and the more comprehensive you are, the better, so that you can change the situation earlier. Because every minute you lose, you are losing potential to change the situation.
And to reverse the situation, a clear strategy plan of action and a resolute execution needs to be developed. Coming up, planning for the future, the campaign plan to save Kenya's water towers. As the debate on Mau and other water towers intensifies, so are the consequences and the effects. Rivers across the country are drying up. In effect, lakes that sustain millions of lives are also drying. Food production has dropped dramatically due to crop failures. Animals are dying due to lack of pasture and water. Tourism, which is the mainstay of our economy, is under serious threat. The number of birds in Lake Nakuru is dwindling due to deaths attributed to the drying of the lake. From agriculture, energy to tourism, the impact of degradation is huge.
On average, Lake Nakuru collects between 60 to 80 million every month. And the same for Masai Mara, they are neck to neck. But in terms of popularity, those are the top two. So every tourist, every time KTB markets Kenya as a tourism destination, those are the two that they mention. Lake Nakuru because of the flamingos and other wildlife, Masai Mara because of the migration. So Kenya's identity is actually associated with the two protected areas. So if we lose the two because we have lost Mau, we actually have lost Kenya's identity. It will be a true national shame that in our generation we have lost two critical protected areas of the world, because they are World Heritage Sites, because we allowed a few people to occupy a critical water catchment area.
At the Kenya National Defence College, senior military officers, Mau Task Force members, environmentalists and government officials congregated to weigh in on the environmental degradation debate.
It is the responsibility of the Kenya National Defence College to prepare senior officers for the management and direction of security issues in the country. The participants in the current course have researched, examined, and analyzed the threats posed by environmental degradation in the country. They have looked at issues that affect our environment at the moment. And not only Kenya, but also issues affecting environment in the East African region and beyond.
The country's forest cover makes Kenya one of the least forested countries in sub-Saharan Africa.
The deliberations centered on the 5 major water towers for their importance on the stability of the country. Mount Kenya Forest, 213,000 hectares, the source of Kenya's longest river, Tana River. This river provides the water needed to run 5 hydroelectric power plants. Without it, 80% of the country will have no electricity. Aberdare Mountain Ranges, 103,000 hectares, the lifeline of the capital city, Nairobi. Rivers from this catchment area supply the dams that provide water to the city. Without this, water taps in Nairobi will run dry. Mau Forest Complex, 400,000 hectares, larger than Mount Kenya and Aberdare combined. The water catchment for 12 rivers that feed 5 lakes, 3 of which are trans-boundary. With millions of dependents in East Africa and beyond, it has lost 107,000 hectares of forest cover, an area 1.5 times the size of Nairobi. Mount Elgon, 127,900 hectares, straddles between Kenya and Uganda, the source of River Nzoia. It supports agriculture in western Kenya and parts of Rift Valley. Without River Nzoia, the production of sugar will grind to a halt. Shimba Hills and Chulu Hills supply fresh water to Mombasa and Kwale. Without these water towers, the survival of Kenya as a nation is threatened. After hours of mediation, the participants were all in agreement on the need to move with speed to save all the water towers. The recommendations were presented to the government representative for consideration.
The teamwork demonstrated during the presentation is the kind of teamwork Kenya needs. We look forward to further engagement and ensure that the recommendations which you have put forward are actually implemented.
The war on protection and conservation goes on, and it will need concerted efforts from every Kenyan citizen.
We need massive public education on the scale of a crisis. And when government declared HIV/AIDS a national disaster in 1999, it raised the profile of the disease to a national security issue. And that is why the National AIDS Control Council is housed at the office of the president, because it's sector-wide. So my recommendation is that let us elevate environmental conservation to be of that scale and magnitude.
We can relocate people from Mount Elgon, from Cheranganyis, and Mount Kenya. And then we have a rigorous plantation.
Every generation has its own challenges. This generation has the opportunity to make a decision for future generations. It's an opportunity that I don't think we want to fail to pass. We cannot fail. We should not fail. We must not fail.
I just think that Kenyans have not yet fully appreciated the value of the environment. But it is probably because we say environment. Perhaps we should say, folks, it's about the water you drink. It's about the food you eat. It's about the air you breathe. It's about life.